All right, guys. Hey, welcome to our IBB call and training tonight. We've got a great guest with us who's going to teach you guys some awesome strategies for getting local clients. If you guys can hear me okay, just type in yes in the question box and tell me where you guys are calling or dialing in from today. Meanwhile, Jeff, I'm going to make you the presenter. Here we go. There we go. Oh. All right, let's see. There we go. What do we have? Okay, there we go. I see your screen. Let's see where we've got people coming in from. We've got Carrie from Virginia, Mike from Georgia. It looked like Georgia is in the house today. Stuart from New Zealand, Carlene from London. Hey, Carlene, how are you? McDonald from Nigeria. We've got Claire from Idaho. We've got Bala from Melbourne. Wow, very nice diverse group. We've got David. David, first I saw Lebanon, and I said, wow, he's calling from far away. Then I saw PA, so he's really up the road. Then I see Scott from New Zealand, Clyde from Atlanta. That's about 4 people from Atlanta. We've got Flint from San Clemente, Dale from Bellingham. So we've got a very good crowd here today, Jeff. So everyone is excited. A lot of our folks love working with local businesses. That's what we do. So I can't wait for you to show them what you're doing. And guys, just to let you know, Jeff really entered the local marketing space a little over almost 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and has done some amazing things in that short amount of time. So you definitely want to make sure you're ready to take some notes, have a pen and pencil ready, tell your significant others that, you know what, hey, I'm going to be busy for the next 60 minutes. During his career, he's basically started over 16 different startups. So Jeff is not someone who is new to starting a business. This is a guy who knows how to do a business, and that's why he's been able to have such success in the offline marketing space in such a short amount of time. He's able to build businesses even in fields where he's not an expert in and go in and do that rapidly. So Jeff's going to walk you through his entire strategy. It's not just a couple pieces here and there. He's going to give you the whole strategy. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. You definitely want to make sure you've got your pens to take notes. I've already told Jeff I'm going to be taking notes. So what he's going to give you today is going to be his 3-step system to finding the right niches to target, what to sell to them and at what price, his 6-step marketing plan and the tactics he uses to get prospects to call him, the 3-step close system he uses to get them to pay upwards of $5,000 per month or more. I hope you guys heard that. $5K a month per more, and his 3-step close to do that. And as a bonus, he will go over the competitive analysis report that has been used to close as much as 90% of prospects and for much higher fees than normal. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. I'm excited. With that, Jeff, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here tonight. I like talking about this. The name of my company is Local Mobile Social. I'll tell you the story, my story, how I got into this business in just a moment. But tonight, I am going to show you exactly how to go about the process of building a 100% outsourced local marketing business that can earn you 6 figures or more in as little as 90 days. Okay, so that's my objective, and that's what I'm going to show you tonight. So I know a number of you have already put in here where you're from, and we've got people from all over the world. But also, it'd be helpful to me as I'm going through this to understand, just put in here, you know, how long you've been in business, how many customers do you have, are you happy with your business, you know, why you're doing this. So if you want to shoot that to me, just give me a sense of, you know, exactly who I'm talking here tonight so I can make sure I cover the right elements of what I'm going to talk to you about. That would be very helpful to me. So we've got some people that coming from the corporate world. We've got some people just starting, no customers yet. 12 months, just a handful. 22 clients, very happy. I love to travel. Great, Tim. I've been at it for a year, just starting, no customers. Too much work for not enough money. I'm going to tell you how to show you exactly how to solve that problem, George. I've been firing clients. I'm going to tell you my story, how I fired my clients, how that worked out for me. So great. Let me get started. So I appreciate all of you sharing with me, and keep them coming, because I always like to keep a copy when I'm of the question log here, so I can see who I've been talking to. So here's what you're going to learn tonight. Okay, preparation and execution in terms of building a six-figure business in as little as 90 days. I'm going to show you my six-figure business model, who to target, how to pick those targets. I'm going to show you some specific targets. We're going to do a case study on the medical market, okay, just so you can get some more specifics. But what I'm going to show you works for any high-value transaction niche. What they want, services they need, what they're worth, how to measure success. I measure it very differently and very simply, and how to outsource 100% of your work. And then I'm going to walk you through my 3-step niche targeting plan, 6-step marketing plan. I'm going to show it to you every step. And then I'm going to walk you through this 3-step sales process and explain why I have 3 meetings with clients and why I think that would be beneficial and important to you. And then I'm going to show you some people who have actually built this in less than 90 days, just like I did. And as a bonus, I'm going to show you, many of you may have gotten a copy of the competitive analysis report that I use. I'm going to actually walk you through and show you how to put that together and how to talk about it and how it's used in that 2nd step meeting. Okay, so what I'm going to show you tonight, if you answer yes to any of these questions, then what I'm going to show you is for you. And these are all questions, frankly, that I had myself as I built this business, as I started out from zero, not knowing anything. As Greg mentioned, I like to think of myself as someone who is not an expert. I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not a website design expert. You'll see what my background is in just a moment. I'm not an expert in social or mobile, but what I am an expert in is building a business without being an expert. So if there's anybody out here tonight who feels like they're not enough of an expert to build a successful local marketing business, then pay attention, because I'm going to show you how to not be an expert but appear to be an expert to your prospects and your clients, so you can charge them $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. I've got students actually that charge a lot more than I am charging. All right, so don't blink, because I'm going to complete the puzzle for you. A lot of you may have been out there, you've learned how to do a lot of different things. What you haven't necessarily learned is how to build a successful local marketing business that can earn you 6 figures or more. And I'm going to reveal to you, I'm going to show you exactly how to put together a competitive analysis report and tell you which services to use to do it. They're all free. I am going to make an offer to you at the end in terms of my system that I've put together to do this, and I hope to help you overcome fear if you're a newbie about going out and building a successful business. So here's my story. This is me. Greg and I actually met on the Marketers Cruise at the end of January. I like to go sailing in the Caribbean. This is my family and I down and actually on St. John. This is I live up on Lake Lanier, north of where Greg lives here in Atlanta. This is my back deck, and so I've got a nice life. I've got a nice family, and my background is I'm actually from Georgia, and I went to school here, Georgia Tech and Georgia State, and these are all the different industries that I've been in, the companies that I've worked for. I've been in more than 16 successful startups. I've been in corporate-backed startups, venture-backed startups, and startups that I funded myself. And the latest, Local Mobile Social, is my offline business, and then I've gotten into training people about how to be successful in this business. So here's my story. In January of 2011, a little over 2 years ago, I bought Mobile Local Fusion because I was looking for the next startup that I was going to do. I didn't know anything about Google Places. I got that Ryan Dice email, about Local Mobile Fusion, about Google giving away 49 million free websites, and that piqued my interest. So I studied that. I bought some more WSOs. I bought some software. And a couple of months later, I formed my company. Got my first client, was a doctor. In May of 2011, I was charging them $500 a month for Google Places and SEO because that's what I had learned about this business at that juncture and what I thought I could charge given my level of expertise. But I wasn't satisfied with that. I went out and got several customers. I was charging them basically the same thing. In October 2011, I actually went to a local marketing summit put on here in Atlanta, down in Peachtree City, and I heard someone get up and speak who had transformed their business from a low value, low revenue model to a high value, high revenue model. And that got me thinking. I went back and changed my business model. I ended up firing my clients because I basically went into them and said, I'm no longer in the $500 a month business, I'm in the $3,000 plus a month business. And none of them wanted to sign up for that because I had not positioned myself correctly in order to charge that amount of money. But 90 days later, I had a six-figure business because I transformed what I was doing. I transformed the way that I looked at the business, the way I thought about the business, the way that the offer that I had put together, and the marketing strategy that I implemented, and I had a six-figure business in January of the following year. This past June, I began training other marketers on this system, and just 1 year later, I was a speaker at that same event. This time it was held in Las Vegas. And so now my strategy for 2013 is to help 1,000 local marketers like yourself all over the world to build a successful six-figure business. So that is my stretch goal for this year. So as you can see, 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about this. I'm still not an SEO expert or local or mobile. I called my company Local Mobile Social because, frankly, I wasn't sure where the money was, and that name was available, so I grabbed it. But that's been my path, and I think probably a lot of you, so I can, if you're a newbie just entering this business, then I can identify with that because I've been through all those phases. So you're probably asking, can anyone do this? Well, this is Danielle, and she did it in just 4.5 weeks. She posted this in our Facebook group. She actually sent me a private message and told me about her success. I didn't even know Danielle. She just messaged me because she was so excited, and I asked her to post this publicly in the Facebook group so everybody could see it and get encouraged by it. And I'll give you a chance. There's a lot to read here. I'll give you a chance to look at this later. But she did it. She got 7 clients in 2.5 weeks, earning $14,500 a month. Julian DeCamps, he was 26 years old when he bought my system, and he did it in 60 days. His first client, $8,700 up front, $6,000 a month. Using the system I'm going to show you tonight. If you watch what I'm going to show you and you take good notes, you will have the recipe to go out and build yourself a successful business. Because I'm not going to hide anything from you. I want you to see it and understand it and see how logical it is and how much sense it makes. Oksana, she lives up in Calgary, Canada. She migrated there from the Ukraine. She'd been in the business, local marketing business, for a couple of years. She told me I knew how to do a lot of different things, but never had learned how to build a business. Okay, her first contract was $35,000 annual contract with a Medi-Spa up in Calgary. So let me show you who to target. Let's jump into it. Because I know a lot of people, when I first got into the business, I heard a lot of questions asked. I asked these questions myself when I went to local marketing summits and met people that were, prominent people that marketing information products. My question in my mind, a lot of times on my lips, was what niche should I go after? So I'm guessing that a number of you are thinking about that same thing. What is the best niche to go after? So let me show you. We're going to talk about, in terms of building the six-figure business, we'll talk about the six-figure business model in just a moment. But this is my system for finding the right niches. You start by researching the markets, where you live or where you want to target. If you're overseas, you want to target the U.S. or you want to target a different country. Start with the niches and look at the transaction values. What's the value of the clients, that customers, patients, whatever type of business it may be? What's the transaction value, and what is the lifetime customer value? What do you estimate to be the lifetime customer value? So what I mean by that is, if the average lifespan of a customer for a business is a year or 5 years or 10 years, how many transactions do they have over that lifespan? And so what's the aggregate revenue generated by those average customers for those businesses? And then you prioritize those niches that you're targeting based on those values. You go for the highest lifetime customer value that you can find amongst the niches that you're targeting in the markets where you're focused on. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you why that's important as we go further. So here are some high-value niches that anybody can target, and there's hundreds of them. I mean, there's sub-niches below this. I'm going to actually show you some specific. Again, we're going to do a case study in medical. I'm going to show you some specific sub-niches for the medical dental industry. But doctors, dentists, lawyers, roofers make a lot of money per transaction, and they hold customers for a long time. Architects, home remodeling, et cetera, et cetera. Any kind of commercial business generally is high-value transaction. A lot of times you're under contract. So you can find these type of high-value niches all over the world. Now they're going to be relative. We have different economies and value of the currency, et cetera, all over the world. But you can find high-value niches, virtually anywhere in the world. So let's talk about specifically medical niches to go after. Medical, here's a list of them. Medical weight loss, med spas, podiatrists, plastic surgeons, etc. You can read down the list. Dentists, primarily cosmetic dentists. And the reason why all these are up here, and there are others that are not up here, but here's a short list. You can read more and see more about these at getnewpatients.com. Is a lead generation site that I have. So let me tell you a quick story about how neurosurgeons got up here. Last year I got contacted by a one of the leading neurosurgeons in the world in terms of radiosurgery. And for those of you who are not familiar with what radiosurgery is, radiosurgery, basically they concentrate radio waves from there's a particular type of technology called a gamma knife. So it concentrates radio waves coming from different directions into a focal point inside of your body. They do not have to cut you open, and they can operate on you virtually anywhere inside of your body. And in particular, this gentleman was a brain surgeon, and he had just left the hospital system up in Princeton, New Jersey, and had gone into private practice, and he needed to get patients into the door because he had left the hospital system. And these type of surgeries are, on a retail level, are $85,000, $90,000. Now, gamma knife technology exists all over the world. There are installations. If you Google gamma knife, you're going to see people advertising to conduct surgery using this technology from all over the world. There's between 250 and 300 installations around the world. This costs about $5 million each for each installation. It's very expensive. And he needed to get patients in because he was no longer being supplied patients through the hospital system. He explained to me, and I asked him, why would you leave? You know, you're one of the leading neurosurgeons, radiosurgeons in the world. Why would you leave the hospital system? He said, Jeff, I was only being paid $750 per operation, whether it was radiosurgery or actual surgery, and I was responsible for the patient for 3 months. I'd have to do 1,000 surgeries a month to make any real money. So all of these particular niches here, of medical niches I've got up here, the one characteristic they all have in common is that all of them have to get new patients into their door. They're not being supplied patients necessarily. For some, they may be for some of their services. You know, I call these type of medical niches or dental niches the want services versus the need services. If you're sick, you have an accident, you have a disease, you need medical attention. You don't really want it, but you need it. If you want to lose weight, get more hair, you know, look prettier, look younger, or maybe fix something that's wrong with your foot or your eyes, or, you know, whatever it happens to be, you want that. You don't need it. You want it. And when you have things that people want, they're really willing to pay more for it. And that is how you distinguish the right niches to go after in the medical community. So what do they want? Regardless of what niche you're after, they want to get new patients, clients, or customers. You could also think of this in terms, you could add guests or renters. I mean, there are other types of businesses out here, but essentially whatever it is they call their customers, they want more of them because they have to have them in order to have a successful business. They're not just walking into their door. They have to advertise and market in order to get them to come in. They want a simple way to measure success. You know, these type of businesses, high-value transaction businesses, they're busy just trying to run their business. These are successful businesses. You're making, you know, $5, $10, $15, $25,000, $50,000 per transaction. You probably have a successful business. You have money to spend, and it's an operation that you have with SEO, with all the Google algorithm changes, what's happening in website design, mobile marketing, etc. They want somebody to take care of that for them, and they want a simple way to measure success to know that they're getting a return on their money. And the bottom line, they want to make more money than they spend. I've had doctors tell me they'd pay me $1 million a month if I made them $2 million. That's how business people like this think. Okay, so this is what they want. They don't want to look at reams of data about things. They want a simple way to measure success and to know that they're making more money than they're spending. And of course that you're getting them new business in the door. So let me quickly show you some of the services I created. You won't see these being talked about anywhere on the Warrior Forum. You're not going to be getting emails about these. These are services that I created because I saw the opportunity to create them within that framework. I created the marketing profitability audit, and that's going to come into play when we talk about the first step of my 3-step sales system. We'll talk more about that later. Keyword and competitive analysis. I'm going to show you what I mean by competitive analysis, and I'll talk to you about how that applies to keyword analysis. I don't just do keyword analysis when I'm doing SEO. I do a combination of keyword and competitive analysis, and what I'm looking at is when I look at the top potential keywords, I'm also looking at the relative amount of competition for each of those keywords to see which words actually will be the easiest to enter the market for. And I charge $1,000 plus for that to anybody. Presence, reputation analysis, very critical aspect now. Everyone's heard about reputation, marketing, or management. Very critical. It doesn't do any good to get more visibility for someone if they have a poor or non-competitive reputation. Competitive conversion analysis is a service I created because I had built a website for one of my clients. They were a brand new business. 4 months into an SEO campaign after we launched their website, they were getting 50 clients, new clients a month, tracked back to the marketing that I was doing. They were averaging about $4,000 each, so it's about $200,000 a month. However, they were not new to the business itself. They'd been around in this business for several years, and they thought that they understood what their competitors were doing in terms of volume of business, and they came to me and said, Jeff, we think something's wrong with our website. It's not our visibility. We think something's wrong with our website because we were expecting to have 200 clients a month, not 50. Now I was charging them $5,000 a month for what I was doing, which is basically Google Places and SEO, and making about an 80% margin on that. But what I did was I said, let me take a look at the situation, and I created a competitive conversion analysis report where I looked at the call to action on their website and the 4 top competitors that they were referring to, and I looked at the amount of traffic using SEMrush. I looked at the amount of traffic for the various keywords that were driving traffic to their website, and discovered that, while my client was getting almost no traffic coming from people searching for them by name because no one knew their name. Now this all seems obvious now, but at that point I was still fairly new to the business. And I looked at their competitors, and as much as 96% of the traffic for one of their competitors was coming from people searching for their name. So I deduced from that, look, and I went back to him and said, you got more call to actions than anybody else, so that's not the issue. The issue is the fact, and the reason why they have a greater volume of business is because they have more people searching for them by name. People are finding you through just regular generic search terms. And the reason why they're finding them by name is because they've been in business as much as 16 years. The least amount of time was 5 years. The highest amount of time was, I think, 16 years. So effectively, if you want to get higher volume of clients, then you need to spend more money to create more brand recognition, to drive people in here by name. And so we implemented a $10,000 a month pay-per-click campaign. So you can find opportunities when you're dealing with businesses like this where they have the money to create services. And I charged them $500 for that. They didn't sign up for it. They told me I had a problem. I ended up charging them $500 and signed them up to perform this report once a quarter. So it was $2,000 a year. And then I implemented this across all my clients. Affiliate management. One of my clients had some e-commerce sites, and they asked me to take over affiliate management. I earned, because I get 5% of revenue plus a fixed fee, I make somewhere around $2,000 a month gross. It cost me $420 a month to outsource it. I pass a weekly report back and forth and answer questions. Okay, now I've got to put up this statement here. You're the doctor and they are the patient in terms of the services that they need, and I'll explain what I mean by this when we get into the 3-step close meeting discussion. So stay tuned for that. So are high-value niches worth what I'm talking to you about doing and what I'm going to show you? Yes, they're worth it. I basically accept money by PayPal, invoices, by merchant account, and by check. This is a shot of my PayPal account, and I put this up here to show you some of the amounts that were being paid to me through PayPal, and also to show you that a couple of $1,000 keyword research projects, and also one of my website conversion audit charges. Now, typical income disclaimer, there are no guarantees in life, but the only guarantee that I can make is if you don't take action, you're not going to make any money. You have to get out there and take action. In whatever field, whatever focus that you have, whatever type of business you're trying to build, you've got to take action, imperfect action. It can become perfect or approach perfection over time. It will probably never be perfect, but you need to take action. So let's talk about the best six-figure business model. Now, a number of you have clients. A number of you don't have clients yet, so you're on the way to getting clients. My point to you here in this slide is that you can build a hard six-figure business, or you can build an easy six-figure business. Okay? A hard six-figure business means you have a lot of low-value clients. You're not charging them much money. I think you have a lot more headaches with people that you're actually not charging very much money to because they don't have a lot of money. And you have your value positioning is less. You've got lower credibility in many cases because you're not charging a lot of money. You can be easily undercut. If you're pricing based on cost, if that's how you're selling is based on cost, I'm only charging you X, or I'm discounting my price down to X, you can be undercut. If you're targeting high-value transaction clients, you don't need as many. Okay? You get much more money per client, which means money covers up a lot of sins. If you need to spend extra money to help your client out in certain areas, you've got the money to do it. I actually believe that high-value transaction clients, if you're charging more money, involve fewer headaches because they're busy running their business. They have a successful, thriving business. In most cases, they're busy doing that. They don't have time to get involved in what you're doing. They just want you to perform. And remember, you're just delivering more customers or clients or patients. You've got an easy way of measuring your success, which is return on investment. And it's clear to them that you're delivering a return on their money. And by having that type of positioning, you get more credibility. You're more difficult to undercut because you're in a different place. You're not providing a service for a fee. You're more acting as a consultant. And you got fewer competitors as a result. So this is my easy 90-day six-figure business model. 3 clients, whatever type that you want to focus on, as long as they're high-value transaction. You're averaging $3,000 plus a month each within 3 months. 3 clients, $3,000, 3 months. If you can get them to call you and outsource 100% of it, then you got an easy six-figure business. Let me give you some other figures. Okay, $1 million business, you get clients paying you an average of $3,000 a month. You only need 17 of them. I'm sorry, 28 of them to have $1 million business. If you can average $5,000 a month, you only need 17 of them, and you got a 7-figure business. Okay, so if you're targeting and you're building a business around this high-value transaction model, targeting the right people, approaching it the right way in terms of your marketing and your sales and your servicing, you can build a very successful business very quickly. All right, so let's talk about getting prospects to call you. Does this sound logical to you so far? Do you understand the reason why we're targeting these type of clients and the value in targeting these type of clients? Okay, great, Lisa. I'm glad that you see this is very logical and it's very doable. I'm going to show you a lot of people doing this before we're through. So let me tell you now how to get prospects to call you. Okay? This is my 6-step marketing system. This was created because at the time when I changed my business, I ended up firing all of my clients. I didn't have any clients that I could use as references. So what I did is I went out, and I'm going to walk you through all this right now. The first step, I established my credibility. I got a video ranked on Google in the market that I was targeting, plastic surgeons in Alpharetta. And I used Alpharetta as basically a representation of the Atlanta market. Now, I had my fingers crossed that I would get phone calls because I had my video placed up there. And if you go and Google this, I think it's in the #1 spot actually right now. Last time I looked at it, it was. But what I really put it there for was because if somebody asked me, do you know what you're doing, Jeff? I could point to the fact that my video was ranked on the first page of Google. I actually put this in my marketing in other locations, and I'll show you where. So it was kind of an easy way for me to claim credibility by proving my ability to get a video ranked in a lucrative market for the target market that I was going after. It cost me $50. I haven't spent any money on it since. Step 2 is I created an irresistible offer as a hook. And the irresistible offer was 2 things. One was a copy of my market competition ebook. I spent $5 on Fiverr to create this ebook cover. And all it is the competitive analysis report that I'm going to show you how to put together. And I use the top 5 competitors in the market as opposed to the competitive analysis report uses a report that is your prospect plus the top 4 competitors, and those competitors that are identified after you go through the audit that you perform during the first meeting. This is a marketing profitability audit, and I'm going to show you in just a minute the process that I go through to basically get the prospects to self-select themselves into my sales funnel, and they contact me as a result. Okay, because I don't really like cold calling, so I get them to call me instead. So after I created my irresistible offer, I sent out a series of 3 emails that I pointed that was basically building a relationship and establishing a position. I wasn't trying to sell them on SEO. I was talking to them about getting more patients, clients, customers. I was pointing to the video that I had ranked on Google in their market that I was targeting, and I was offering to come to their office and perform a marketing profitability audit. Not trying to sell them anything. I wanted to help them understand the profitability of their marketing, all of their marketing. I follow that up with a lumpy mail, direct mail letter that I actually took from, it was from a WSO that I bought that was focused on flooring dealers. And I rewrote it, stapled a dollar bill to it, put it in a regular envelope, hand addressed it. It was sent directly to the prospect, and in it I basically told them that I was making my offer to come in and conduct a marketing profitability audit, and also give them a copy of the market competition report to show them how the top competitors in the market were performing on the internet in terms of their internet marketing. The next 2 steps, I follow up with a phone call. I told them in the letter I'm going to call them a certain date and time to schedule that meeting. If they're not there, I leave them a voicemail. And what happens when I go through this process is that they self-select people that have problems, they're not satisfied. They may have someone that's servicing them currently. They probably have had somebody in the past that was providing some type of service to them, and they weren't happy with it. And if they're not happy, you get a phone call. Now, there's other variations on this. I've had people that basically put together the offer and just made direct. They didn't mind making cold calls. I've had people go door to door with this offer. I've had people that just send out the direct mail and follow up with the phone call. And I've had people that, basically follow this to the T. And not just in, it can happen in any kind of market. Rose Antonio lives up in Virginia area, and she sent me a private message on Facebook. She used my direct mail template, which is actually basically is targeted around the medical community. She rewrote it, changed it for the auto dealer market, sent it, and got a meeting with the VP of Toyota in her area. So this strategy can be used for any high-value niche because it helps. You're basically positioning yourself as a consultant. You're offering them value in terms of giving them information about their competition. And if they're not worried about their competition, you don't want them as a client. So you're hunting for the people that are worried about their competition. They're cognizant about their competition. They know that they're not at the top of their market, and they know that they're not getting the right return on the investment that they're making in marketing. So they self-select into your sales funnel. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, everybody's saying yes, so great. All right, so let me show you my 3-step sales system. The first meeting. All right, so now when they contact you, when you've contacted them or they contact you, you are not a vendor. You're not a salesperson. You're a consultant. The first step of the sales funnel, the 3-step sales meeting, the objective is to identify their pain, and the way that you identify it is by going through the marketing profitability audit. When you come in there, they're expecting you to come in there or talk to them over the phone. It does not have to be done in person. When you're establishing and positioning yourself this way as a consultant that's focused on their particular market and understands their market, then you're controlling their frame of reference. And you're going to throw them for a loop when you basically don't talk about what you have for sale. And in fact, if they ask you, as I've had people do and other people have had this happen to them using this system, at some point they're going to say, what are you selling? What can you do for me? Or, I really want to do business with you. So what solutions can you provide? My answer is, I didn't come here to sell you anything. And this is where the I'm the doctor and you're the patient analogy comes into place. If you go to the doctor doesn't walk in, and I've actually said this before to doctors. When they ask me that question, look, Jeff, let's just cut to the chase. I think I want to work with you. What can you, I need your help here. I've told you I need help with this area, or what would you recommend? My answer to them is, I didn't come here to sell you anything, and I'm not going to even talk about that. Because if I walked in here as a patient, if the role was reversed, you wouldn't just say, hello, Jeff, let me write you a prescription, and let me prescribe, I'm going to need to see you in the hospital tomorrow at 8 o'clock for an operation. That's not the way it works. You're going to ask me questions to understand my pain, to identify the source of the pain. You probably are going to perform some tests to help you understand it further, and only after you've gotten those tests back, then are you going to prescribe treatment, whether it's a prescription for pills or something else. So that is the process that we need to go through. The people that you're dealing with today, the people you've been dealing with in the past, they were trying to sell you something. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here first to talk to you about your business so I can understand your needs and understand what's going on in your business. I'm a consultant. I'm not a salesperson. That gets them to see you as different. It establishes your role as a consultant. And when you get them to start talking about their business, they're going to open up to you. Because you're talking to them about who is their ideal client that they're going after. Why are you in this business? How much money do you make from the clients that you'd like, your ideal client? What's your exit strategy for this business? What types of marketing have you been doing? What type of return are you getting on your investment? You're using a different language in talking to them. You're not talking to them about ranking the first, for 10 keywords on Google or mobile marketing or post on social. You're not talking about that. And you normally charge $500, $1,000 for what you're taking them through. And they're going to see it as a tremendous value. And you're going to find out where the landmines are and where their perceived issues are in their mind, so that when it comes to the third meeting, when you're presenting your solutions, you're going to know how they're going to be perceived by them in advance. There won't be any surprises. There shouldn't be surprises at that juncture. And you're starting to set their expectations regarding measuring you based on return on investment, not on whether or not you're on the first page of Google or how many visitors are getting to their website or any of that other stuff. That's all for you to consider. They just need to focus on how many new patients or clients or customers are getting, how much money is being generated from those, and what is the return on investment for the amount of money that they're spending with you. This is a post that Mickey Bates made to me on Facebook. Mickey actually was an executive chef. I did an interview with Mickey after he posted this. He was executive chef for most of his life. He said he got tired of working 80, 100 hours a week. He had 3 restaurants. He didn't want to open his 4th. So he sold all his restaurants, and then he went into the consulting business. And he said he got tired after a couple of years of doing that because he had to basically find a new job every 3 or 4 months. And so he got a meeting with his first prospect, who happened to have 7 locations. And he said, before I went into that meeting, I said, I'm just going to forget everything that I ever knew about sales, and I'm going to follow this 3-step process. And you can see there in red what the reaction was that he got from this prospect. The guy couldn't believe that he wasn't there to try to sell him something. In fact, resisted even discussing it. And by the end of the meeting, he was already telling Mickey that he was ready to do business with him without even knowing what it was he was going to propose, just because of the nature and the way he went about conducting himself. That's the power of this 3-step system. Meeting number 2. So at the end of the first meeting, you conducted the audit, you give them their copy, or emailed them their copy of the marketing profitability, the market competition ebook, and you set up the second meeting. So the purpose of the second meeting is to illustrate, educate, and agitate their pain. You've identified their pain in the first meeting, so the purpose in the second meeting is you want to educate them. And by educating them, you're going to agitate them, And the way that you educate them is by using illustrations. The illustrations are the competitive analysis report. It uses graphs. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Okay? By using graphs, you break it down and make it very simple. You make it very visual. And your explanation is very simple for them to understand. Because what you want is an educated client. You don't want an uneducated client that doesn't understand what you're doing, because that's not a recipe for a long-term relationship. If they don't really understand it, and they can't understand how to measure it and understand when it's successful and not successful, you're going to have a problem. And this is something that I had to learn over time about this business. Business owners don't really understand what we're doing. So I need to educate them to a certain extent about what it is I'm going to do for them, why I'm going to do it, and how to measure my success. And when they understand this, when the light bulb goes on and they see how they're performing versus their competition, it agitates them. They're not happy. They're not happy with themselves. They may not be happy with the company that they're currently doing business with, or somebody that they've fired because they weren't doing whatever they thought they were supposed to be doing. Okay, so now let me show you the competitive analysis. But first, this is a post that came to me from Jeffrey Howard. And he's talking about the power of competitive analysis. He used it to close a wine client. He lives in Northern California. When he showed this to his prospect, and they saw how their competitors were beating them up in the market, it triggered a got-to-take-action response. They were ready to do business because they understood something about what was happening to them in the marketplace, and they did not like it. They got agitated. They got educated first using the illustrations in the competitive analysis report, and the result of that was they got agitated. So let me show you how to put together a competitive analysis report. There's 3 different services. They're all free that I use to put these together. SEMrush, Majestic SEO, and SEO Moz Open Site Explorer. This particular slide comes from SEO Moz Open Site Explorer. There's a whole bunch of slides in there, but I only use this one. And the reason I use this one is because it shows the total number of links to each of the 5 different websites. This is an actual report, a graphic from a report from a prospect that became a client. So they're blacked out. This is in the Atlanta market. No tool will give you an absolute number of links, and probably all the tools give you different numbers for the links. So all tools with regards to linking reports have faults in them. They have inaccuracies, but the inaccuracies are applied equally across all of the different websites. So what you're looking for here is relative value. This particular competitor, who happens to be at this point in time for this report series, was the top competitor in the market. They had 10 times the number of links. Whether my prospect had 2,000 or 40,000, this particular competitor had 10 times that number. This one had 20 times that number. Okay, but my point to them here, and the reason why I show them this is because they need to hire me to help solve this problem. And the problem is that Google uses links as the equivalent of votes coming from third parties, which are websites, and so they need more votes coming from the right websites in order to catch up with their competitors. That's a quick description of my simple explanation of this. These next series of slides come from SEMrush. This is the estimated traffic for this particular date and time. This is that top competitor. They had 6 times the amount of traffic. They had 10 times the number of votes. Now there's other factors that are driving this amount of traffic, which we'll go over in just a moment, but this gives them an idea of, and I asked them, if you had 6 times the amount of traffic to your website, what do you think is the amount of conversion that you could get? How much more money? How many more ideal clients could you get? How many more $12,000 transactions, 25,000 lifetime value customers could you win if you had more traffic? This next slide shows the estimated amount of money that you would have to spend on Google AdWords in order to generate that free traffic. And I'm using this slide here because I'm positioning with them that free search engine traffic is cheaper overall than paid traffic. It has a good ROI, and I'm doing that because I believe it, first of all, and secondly because I make more money off of SEO as opposed to managing pay-per-click. Because I'm not in my particular case, I am not an expert in anything. I'm not an expert in pay-per-click, so I have to outsource that. And basically, based on the pricing models related to pay-per-click, it's generally a fixed fee or a percentage of the amount of money they spend. And after you pay an outsourced resource, it's not a lot of money. It's not interesting to me. It may be a $10,000 a month campaign, but if you're only making, let's say charging 15%, getting $1,500, and it's costing $600 or $700, depending upon how competitive a market it is and how much time someone has to spend on it, it's just not a lot of money. So I'm just not interested in it. And it's a good thing to do if it's done incrementally, but it's not where I want to focus. I'm not going to spend all the time to make $600 or $700 net with somebody. This next slide shows the amount of keywords that each of the 5 competitors rank for in the top 20 results for this particular month. They have 3.5 times the number of keywords. They had 6 times the amount of traffic. They had 10 times the number of links. The reason why I show them this slide is because when you're selling SEO, if SEO is part of your solution, inevitably, and you start talking about keywords, this is a 10 keyword program, inevitably your client is going to ask, or they're going to think, and they're going to ask at some point, well, what happens when we get those 10 keywords ranked up high and we're extracting the maximum return on the investment I'm making to get them up there? Do we just stop? No, you don't stop. First of all, you have to choose the right 10 keywords for the program, and that is the reason why it costs $1,000, because it's keyword plus competitive analysis. So that's part of the solution. Now, I'm not talking to them about that yet, but I'm positioning that for when we do talk about it in the 3rd meeting. I'm planting these ideas, and I'm showing them and illustrating all these in there to them very simply, so that when I do present my solutions in the 3rd meeting, I can go back and reference these. If they ask a question, why are you charging $1,000 for keyword competitive research? You can go back to this and say, look, they have 3.5 times the number of keywords that they're ranking for in the top 20 results for. So which 10 keywords should we focus on? It costs $1,000 for me to figure out the answer to that question. You don't know the answer to the question, and I'm going to have to do work in order to come up with a question. Now, the reality is you can get the keyword research done for $100 and then spend a couple of hours looking at the competitive nature of it, and you get $1,000 for it. So I want them to think that, and when we get the first 10 keywords optimally visible, your business optimally visible on those, then we're going to turn and spend money on another set of 10 keywords, and another 10, and another 10, and another 10. This is a long-term project. This final slide that comes from Majestic SEO, I show them this because I want them to see these graphs growing and changing over time, over a long amount of time. Because top competitors never rest. This is a long-term effort. I want their long-term commitment for this. I don't want to spend time on this, get geared up for it, and be over and done in 3 or 6 months. I want them to understand if they want to be a top competitor, which this red line represents that top competitor, then they have to be at this for years. It can never stop. But they're going to get a significant ROI on their money. Whether an average transaction is $3,000 or $12,000 or $25,000, if I'm charging them $3,000, $5,000, maybe $10,000, if their ROI is 1 or 2 clients to basically break even and generate a return, then if you're getting them 20 clients or 50 or 100 clients or 5, you're generating a return on their investment. This is a guy by the name of Alex Mutt. I met him at that first local marketing summit held here in Atlanta in October 2011. I told him what I was doing with competitive analysis. He asked me if I would share it with him, which I did. I shot a video to show him how to put that report together and how to sell it and position it. I sent it to him a couple of weeks later. He came back to me in a few months and basically said, Jeff, I've closed 90% of my prospects using this. This is a video. I'm not going to play it. You'll get a chance later on to look at it. I'm just explaining who this guy is. He lives down in Miami.
And Jeff, real quick.
Yes.
Yep, a bunch of people are asking, what are the 3 tools that you use there, those free tools?
Yeah, the 3 tools are Majestic SEO, SEMrush, and SEO Moz Open Site Explorer.
Perfect.
Okay, they're all free. There are paid levels to those, but you don't need the paid level to do this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're on to the third meeting, right? So we spent the first meeting getting them to talk about their business and positioning yourself as a consultant, not as a salesperson. And I've told you they've answered all these questions. I have an audit interview questionnaire. They've answered all these questions. You know where their hot buttons are. You know who they think of their competition. You know, how's their business doing? What kind of marketing are they doing, or what have they been doing in the past? How's it worked, etc. So you're primed for this, right? You come to the second meeting. Maybe you forgot a question. So now you get a chance, because you have a second meeting, you have a chance to ask them questions you forgot, or you need clarification on those questions because now you've thought about what they said to you. You know, if you go in there and try to close them on the first meeting, you know, there are no second chances. By coming back to them with a second meeting, you get a chance to clarify that. And now you're in the second meeting is when you're illustrating, educating, and agitating them about their pain. You get them fired up about it. They do not like what they see. They've already told you what their pain is in the first meeting. So now you come back to the final meeting. You clarify any final questions you may have. And the reason why you're asking these clarifying questions is to position in their mind that they need you as their solution. You are going to solve their pain. So you review any audit findings that you need in order to support your close. review, go over the competitive analysis findings if need be to support your close. You present their options. You frame their options versus the ROI. Okay, this option maybe you got 2 options, maybe you have 3, maybe you have 1, depends on what you're selling. And you could be selling on websites or mobile or anything. This in particular talks about SEO and Google Places, but you can use this strategy for regardless of what it is you're selling them. But you want to frame it relative to the ROI. What is the ideal client worth? What's the lifetime value of those clients? You're going to spend $5,000 with me. You're going to generate $50,000 clients. And that's the frame of reference that you need to position with them. It's not in traffic or clicks or any of those other or rankings or ranking reports. You'll have all that if they ask questions about it, but that's not what you're focused on. You want them tracking how many clients did they generate this past month that came in through your marketing efforts, whatever they are, how much money was generated by them, and relate that back to the money they invested with you. All right, so does everybody understand the power of that 3-step system? Yep, Michael's saying yes. If they don't, somebody at CB's asking if they don't sign a contract with us that day, do we leave those reports with them? Yeah. Because here's what, if they don't sign that day, here's what I tell them. I say, look, that's fine. You can take some time to think about it, but we need to set our next meeting right now. And at the next meeting, you need to bring your checkbook, your credit card. Make sure it's with you, because at the end of this meeting, either you're going to decide to choose one of these options and we're going to come to an agreement, or I'm going to take my business elsewhere, because I've invested a lot of time in understanding this market. I understand it very well at this point. I know who the top competitors are. And if you're not someone who wants to be amongst the top competitors, then I'll simply go elsewhere. And you got to mean it. You are the doctor, they are the patient. You're not the salesperson begging for a sale. You guys, whether you know it or not, whether you just started last month, you have the gold, and they don't have the gold. They need seats. They need butts and seats, as they say. They have a problem. They would not have sought you out and answered your marketing if they didn't have a problem. Now they've revealed their problems to you in the first meeting. You know they have a problem. You're not going to screw around with them. So yeah, we can have a second meeting if you're not ready to make a decision today, but we're going to, one of us will make a decision at the next meeting. Either you're going to decide to move forward, or I'm going to decide to move forward without you. All right, we've been at this for over an hour, so I've got a lot left to go through. So let me show you, does this all look worth it to you? What do you guys think about the 3-step targeting system, the 6-step marketing system to get the prospects to call you, and the 3-step sales system? Does it seem worthwhile to you to go through these processes in order to build a successful 6-figure business? Remember, 3 customers, $3,000 a month, in 3 months, and you got a 6-figure business. Well, fantastic. I'm getting a lot of brilliance. Sounds good. Excellent. Let me show you. Believe me, it's worth it. Okay, this is the kind of money that I earn. This is just for my PayPal account. These are some results from people following this system, other local CEOs just like you. Jeff Sepuran, he was an airline pilot for a regional airline. He was in the military for a number of years. He contacted me and basically said, Jeff, his airline was owned by Delta. I do not remember the name of it. This was last year, but he said, they're shutting down my airline in 3 weeks. I have to make this happen. He went out and sold his first client, as a doctor, $6,000 a month package. Randall Pruitt, $3,000 a month. Larry Davidson, he didn't want to wait for that whole process. He was not afraid. He had experience with telemarketing. He created the irresistible offer that I recommend. He got 6 yes responses by just cold calling 50 plastic surgeon practices. This is the missing piece of your puzzle. If you've been puzzling over how to build a successful business, how to put into action all the things you learned, this is the missing piece of the puzzle, because guess what? You don't have to do any of it. I don't do any of the work. Now, I've been at this in this business now for a couple of years, so I understand a lot about some pieces of it. I am by no means a mobile expert or a social expert, but I understand something about SEO, but I don't do it, and I don't want to do it. I've outsourced all of that, not to just people on Elance or Odesk. I started out that way, but I figured out pretty quickly that was not the way to build a successful 6-figure business. So guess what? I align myself with businesses that have been in business for 5, 15, 16 years. They're here in the U.S. They outsource to people all over the world. They manage all those resources, and they're still very competitive in their price. And here's the other advantage. When I'm in that first meeting, and if a prospect asks me, Jeff, who are your references? How can you prove that you can do what you tell me that you can do? My answer is this, and I still use the same answer. My answer is all of our clients are under NDA. We do not reveal anything about our clients. We don't want any of their competition to know what is going on with them, what we're doing for them, and how successful that we are. And we don't want any of the services that we're impacting, like Google, to understand what we're doing. We don't want to take any risk. Those businesses out there that are advertising their clients and what they're performing for their clients, the only advantage to that is to the company doing it. So there's no advantage. In fact, there's a lot of risk associated with that for the clients themselves. So we simply don't do it. And if that's something you require, then we just need to end the conversation right now. But what I can tell you is that I have, depending upon the outsourced resource you're using, I have dozens or hundreds of employees between myself and my partners. We have dozens or hundreds of employees who've been in business collectively for 5, 15, 16 years, depending upon, again, who you're using. And we have thousands of satisfied clients all over the world. But they're all under NDA. I won't reveal anything about them. You have to make your decision based upon the discussions that we have and the information I'm providing to you. I never get another question about it. It quashes that issue immediately. So I don't care if you've been in business for a month and you have no customers, and you know even less than I do about SEO or any of these other things. If you align yourself with the right resources, they're the experts. They're keeping up with Google's machinations and changes in algorithms. They're keeping up with what's happening in social media. Your job is to position yourself in the eyes of your prospects such that they see you as the expert, and that between you and your partners, you're going to get their business done. You're not the one that's building links. You don't want them to even think that's what you're doing. You're a high-level consultant that charges accordingly. So here's the system that I put together, the Strategic Marketing Mastery System. It's a business in a box. One of the reasons why I was able to build 16 successful startups, I didn't build them all on my own. I was some of them I was a founding member of, because I understood the power of putting together systems that enabled me to go from industry to industry, from new startup to new startup, and be successful at it. So that's what I bring to the table here. Remember, I'm not an expert at any of these things. I'm an expert at building successful business without being an expert. Because I put together a system to do it. I put together resources that you can access to do it with and partner with. And here's some more reviews coming from other people. That's where I got the missing piece of the puzzle. It came from Heather's comment here. This is a real system that has, and I'm going to show it to you here in just a moment. You're going to see what it looks like and what's in it. There's nothing hidden here. So the first part of this is the step-by-step six-figure system. There's a 51-page training manual. There's 8 how-to videos that go through more in depth what is covered in the 51-page training manual. My 6-step marketing system is a 34-page marketing strategy manual that you can use to develop this strategy for any market that you're going to go after. And then there's 8 marketing templates, scripts, and tools. The audit questionnaire I told you about, there's actually 2 of them. One has reputation management questions, one does not. The market competition ebook template, so you can put that together using the same tools that you use for competitive analysis. The 3 client acquisition email templates, the lump email template, the warm callback script, and I threw in a checklist there to help you. And there's also 3 videos. The 3-step sales closing system, identifying their pain, illustrating, educating, and agitating their pain, and solving their pain. That's inside here. The competitive analysis system, there's a cut and paste report template, how to present the strategy, how to prepare the report using those 3 services I described, SEMrush, Majestic SEO, and SEO Mods. So let me take you on a quick tour of the local Marketing Empire Strategic Marketing Mastery System. There's 170 plus web pages, 100 plus videos, and 100 plus document pages. This is not a WSO download. Okay, and inside of here, when I see that somebody asks a question and I can add something to it, I just add it in there. I also put things into our Facebook group. You'll see me put things in here a lot of time. Danielle Long, here's her story right here that she posted in here. I pinned it up there so everybody could see it and be encouraged by it. But inside Strategic Marketing Mastery, there's a video that gives you a tour of all the different areas in here. There's also a step-by-step course of study. The first step is actually sign up for updates. The second step is to go here to and join the Facebook Mastermind group. And then I tell you exactly how to go through this course because there's a lot of material, 170 pages, 100 plus videos, 100 plus document pages. Okay, it's massive. Then here in training, I've got all of the available training. Now, I told you that I'm not an expert in all these areas, so I have other training courses when I run across things that I think are valuable training, like video training, reputation management, some of these other areas, I put them in here to make them available to you because I think that they could help you. Here's where all the bonuses are. Here's all the outsourcing. I told you that you'll have access to my same resources. I've got comprehensive outsourcing resources, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And then I've broken it down into various types of services that you may need in order to service your clients. And the resources for those are identified there individually. So if you need social media, That may be actually something that is offered by one of the comprehensive people, but you'll have noted that here in this section. I don't want you to do any of the work. Even if you are an expert, if you're great at it, you should not be spending your time doing that. You should be spending your time out getting revenue. If you're an expert at some particular area, then great. You'll be great at managing your outsourcing resources. But you should be outsourcing everything and be focused on going out and getting those 3 clients, $3,000 a month. All right, let me show you this. Let's see here. Actually, this is one of the comprehensive resources. The type they offer SEO, local, Google Plus. They have SEO plus local, pay-per-click, reputation management, web design, and social media. They're coming out with new services all the time. This is your website gallery that you can actually use to represent to clients if you want to be in the website design business. I personally do not want to be in the website design business because I find it to be very subjective. It's very visible. It's probably the most visible thing that your clients have in terms of representation on the internet. And so I don't like to be in that business because I find that it doesn't generate enough return on my time investment. But you may like it, you may be good at it. You're going to find some clients want you to do it because they don't like their website. So you can either do it through resources like this, or you can partner up with somebody who does like to do it and knows how to do it and generate a return on their time and just get a commission for it. All right, so that is that. Now let me go back to the presentation. So with the 100% outsourcing resources, there's more than one. When I find new ones that I think are relevant and can provide good service to you, I start including them in there. There's no cost to sign up with them. It's all free. It's part of the system. But you have case studies in here. You have SEO case studies, so if in fact you get pushed to the wall and they want to see some representation that you know what you're doing with SEO, you can provide case studies. They have all kinds of training. The website gallery I showed you, there's a client hub where you actually can communicate with your client. It's all white labeled with your brand, like there's Local Marketing Empire. They'll put together proposals for you, they'll conduct analysis for you, and then these are the types of services that they have. And there's a lot of activity, and then there's people who have been in this business much longer than I have, and there are some experts in various areas in there. So regardless of just about any question that you may ask, you're going to find people that are going to help you, recognize opportunities or overcome challenges. For the first 50 action takers, I call it my fast action bonus. I'm going to give you access to an interview that I conducted with Julian and one that I'm about to conduct with Danielle, where you're going to hear their story and hear the backstory on how they did what they did to achieve the phenomenal results that they achieved. They did it in less than 90 days. They did it partly because they took action, but I think they also partly did it because they had a system laid out in front of them. I had to develop the system on the fly. But all the details of what I did are all contained in those 170 pages, 100 plus videos, and 100 plus document pages. What is the total system value? I mean, I see a lot of people. I haven't done many of these webinars. I only sell this via webinar. If you go on to the Warrior Forum right now and look up products like this, you'd find that they might be, $1,000 or more. But I met Greg on that marketer's cruise. We hit it off. We live here in Atlanta together. I agreed to hold another webinar. I don't hold them that frequently because, quite frankly, I have lots of businesses to attend to. I think the total of all this is priceless. And why? This is something I put together, top 10 franchise investments for 2013. These are the top 10 franchises. I believe this was in Forbes magazine. These are some of the amounts of money, the average Subway business owner makes about $150,000 a year. Supercuts, $200,000 plus, McDonald's, $500,000. This is a snapshot of Julian's bank account, his business bank account that he sent me to show what he had earned in 75 days after he bought my course. He deposited $27,000. Danielle, within 4.5 weeks, she took 2 weeks to go through the course, prepare everything. In the space of 2.5 weeks after she was ready and she decided to take action, she was making $14,500 a month, $174,000 annualized. Now, these results are not typical. These people took action. But this is what can be accomplished if you put your mind to it and you got the right system to work on, to work through. If you got all your questions answered, if you can align yourself with the right resources, you know what process to go through. You have the 3-step niche targeting system, the 6-step marketing system, and the 3-step sales close system. These are the type of results that people have achieved. Now, in addition to that, the competitive analysis is actually a bonus because it's so compelling just as a standalone product. I decided to offer it as a bonus. You also get to overcome your challenges using the other members as a sounding board, is more or less like your board of directors as part of the Facebook group. I'm in there answering questions. A lot of times the questions are already fully answered before I even look in there and see them. So you have a lot of active people. There's close to 500 people in there. Frequent bonus Q&A webinars. I've held 20 plus already. They're all inside of there. 100% done for you outsourcing resources that don't cost anything to sign up for, and fast mover success interviews that I just showed you. So here's the price. I'm horrible at webinars, aren't I? There's no big drum roll. There's no big setup. This is the price. It's one payment of $297, which is an instant $57 discount, or 2 payments of $174. One now, one in 30 days, and there's a 30-day refund policy. I'm not after your money. My goal is to help 1,000 local marketing CEOs build a successful 6-figure business this year. That's what I'm after. I put my heart and soul into this. I poured as much information as I've gleaned in putting together this business, and also my many years building startups from scratch to help make sure that if you take action, you can build a successful business. So that's what you get from me. I've shown you what's inside of it. I've walked you through the strategy. I've shown you the 6-step marketing system. I've told you what the different variations are that people have pursued. Danielle picked up the phone after she put her offer together and just started dialing. She had $14,000 a month, 7 clients in 2.5 weeks. She'd been in business for a year already. These are some more local CEOs reviews, things that they've either posted on Facebook or sent me an email just telling me what they thought about this course after they became members. I don't think, if you want to build a successful offline marketing business, and I think that you do, or you wouldn't be here watching this right now. You wouldn't be taking up your time. Those of you who are in the UK, in Nigeria, if you're still on here, it's late. It's in the middle of the night for you. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't want to make this happen, whether you've been in business for 2 years or 20 years or you just started last month. This is a system you can be successful with. I want you to be successful. And I put everything that I can think of and continue to put in, and I continue to add in through the local Facebook group, and all the other members, the other local CEOs, all trying to be successful, and some of them are already successful. They're all trying to help you as well. So if you want to make this happen, I want to help you make it happen, and now's the time, and this is the place. Now I'm going to leave this up here so you can read more about what Danielle said, because it's a little bit long. I didn't give you much chance, and I'll go ahead and answer questions now. We're about an hour and a half in. I'm happy to answer questions. To be honest with you, I haven't really been looking at the questions very much when I'm talking, because I'm concentrating on making sure that I deliver as much information as I can during the time when I'm presenting this. So if I haven't answered your questions, I know that a lot of people, I can see out of the corner of my eye that the screen flashing over there, so I know people are making comments. So if I haven't, Greg, if you want to, if there are questions you think are, there's a lot of people asking them, you can go ahead and ask me, or if I haven't answered your question already, then go ahead and put it back in here at the bottom so that we can try to get it answered here in the time we have remaining.
Yeah, I've actually been answering some of the questions that I can answer, and I just want to say fantastic, absolutely superb. You know, when I do webinars, I believe in content, and you've actually outlined a full plan. And so just from the webinar, I think this is absolutely fantastic. This is awesome.
I appreciate that. Sorry for that little blank screen effort there. I was trying to, I saw somebody said give us the link, and I was going to copy and put it in there. I guess probably some people would like to have it in the chat box.
Yeah, let me see if I can type it into the chat here for you guys.
Yeah, because I'm liable to screw something up. So I appreciate that. You know, I wouldn't care if there was one person on here. I would do this the same way. So I'm glad everybody liked it.
And one of the questions that someone asked, and I'll tell you what my answer was, and you can tell me your perspective. So I like a very similar approach, which is multiple contacts. I don't go in and sit down and say, hey, here I am, give me your money. I usually go in a couple of meetings, and someone said, well, aren't you risking the fact that you lose the deal after so many meetings? My philosophy is, after so many meetings, I'm building a better relationship with the customer. I mean, I could do it in one meeting, but that's only one touch point, whereas if I do it over a phone conversation, couple meetings, I'll have 4 or 5 touch points, which means I've got a stronger relationship and I'm closer to the sale versus being farther away. Do you have a different take on that?
No. In the first meeting, you know, we've already talked about, you know, the purpose of the first meeting being to identify their pain and go through the audit. And you're positioning yourself differently. But the other thing I want to add is that you're also sizing them up. For those of you who have clients, and I'm sure Greg can attest to this too, you probably, I remember, I think his name was George, somebody said they're firing their clients. You know, yes, you may be taking some time up front for the 3 meetings, but remember, this is not a $500 a month client. This is a $3,000 to $5,000, $10,000. I've got students who have gone out and gotten $12,000 a month clients using this strategy. So these are not small-time clients. You're investing time up front, but at the same time that you're sizing them up and you're positioning them for the close, you're also deciding whether you even want to do business with them. Because let me tell you something, and that's why I stress the fact that this is a long-term relationship, and I want to get to know, understand them and their business, and make sure they understand how it is that we're going to measure my success. I want to make sure that they are going to do their job as a client, and I want to keep doing business with them because I want them as a client for years. And I don't want to do business with somebody I don't like or I think is going to slack off and they're not really going to do. They tell me they're going to do something and they're not really going to do it. And then you've wasted the time that you have, that you've allocated to them as a client when you could have gone and gotten a different one. So yeah, if you're selling something for $300 a month or $500 a month, I wouldn't use this strategy. First of all, I wouldn't go after those type of clients. But if that's the type of clients, if that's your business model that you've set up, then I would not use this. This is for high-value transaction niches only. And you got to take them through a process. First step, you got to understand their business. You got to ask them all these questions. Get them talking about their business. The second step, you got to remember, you got to educate them and agitate them. You got to make them want your solution. They don't know what it is yet, but they're not happy with the situation they're in, and they see you differently. They see you as a consultant, not as a salesperson. You're an equal. You're an expert in your area. So it's all about setting this up and positioning so that you can get them to agree to paying you thousands of dollars per month for a very long time. And you've got experts that you're outsourcing to do the work to make sure that you deliver on that and that you continue to get that money over the long haul. I'm looking here, Sean, does your outsourcing include a resource for mobile marketing? I'm not sure what you mean by mobile marketing, but website gallery actually is mobile optimized, so it works, regardless of the screen which it appears on. If you're talking about like SMS text marketing, I know that my business's name is Local Mobile Social, but quite frankly, I haven't found a reason to allocate my time to selling low, profit transactions like SMS. I'm just being frank with you. I've found other ways of, because there's only 24 hours in the day. And somebody was asking, how much time do you need to allocate? I saw this earlier. I've done this. I've had about 10 webinars, so I kind of know what questions you have in your head, and I try to answer them up front. But I know a lot of you have jobs right now, or obviously some of you live in London and Australia and Nigeria, and we were talking about Singapore earlier. All over the world. I got people in Russia and Spain, all over. Maybe you're marketing in your own country or someplace else around the world, or maybe you're targeting the United States. So can you do this part-time? Yes, you can. Is it more difficult if you're doing it on your own without a system already set up for you? Sure it is. You got to try to figure this out on your own? Yeah. I've shown you what to do. You can take a recording of this and figure it all out. It's not necessarily rocket science. It makes a lot of sense, and I think a lot of you see how logical it is, so you can puzzle it out and get it done. But I've put together a lot of content and continue to update that so that you don't have to waste time, valuable time, on trying to figure it out yourself. That's the value. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. I've probably spent $3,000 or $4,000 on buying WSOs and software and a whole ton of things, and been a great advantage for me. I mean, it certainly is cheaper than the college education I went through. So that's the value of getting the head start in a step-by-step system like this. But can you do it part-time? Yep. You allocate, you have to regiment what you're going to do with your time and follow the steps. Pick out your niches, decide what business you're going to be in, come up with your offer, make sure you get the resources that you can outsource it to, figure out your pricing, and start marketing. If you've got a full-time job and you get a response from somebody and they say, yep, I'd like to set up that meeting with you, guess what your answer is if you get a full-time job? I'm so busy. Right now I can't really take on more than one new client in the next 60 days. The only time I have to meet with you is at 6 o'clock at night or on Saturday morning. If you're in another country and there's a time frame difference like that, that's the only time you've got for the phone call. Look, you have to take this and adapt it to your situation and take action. Action and persistence will overcome a lot of problems.
And Jeff, I don't know about you, but I know over the years I've worked with a lot of businesses that till today I still cannot tell you what the owner or manager of that business looks like. So if you is it better? Do I have a higher closing percentage when I'm working face-to-face? I certainly have a much better relationship with them, but I've closed plenty of businesses where I've actually never met the folks. It's all done over the web or via GoToMeeting or some of the screen sharing. So don't feel like, hey, I can't go out and meet people, or I'm in a tiny, tiny town. I only have 3 people or 3 businesses in my town. Not a problem. Work with businesses in any town, in any city in the globe. You can work with anyone, anywhere.
Yes, you don't have to. In fact, I prefer not really to. I mean, I don't want to go meet with them. I live up on the north end of the lake, and it's an hour just to get down to 285. I don't want to go meet with them, so I prefer for them to be out of town because I'm never going to meet them for sure, and they can't even ask. Happen to be in town, then yeah, I will go to the first meetings. I'll conduct them in person because I'm here. It's worth a lot of money, but after that, I'm not going in there. I've got other things to do. So it doesn't. I mean, I've got clients all over the country.
Yep.
It's just all in how you position yourself. How do you conduct your meetings? Some people use Skype. You can use join.me. I've heard people talking now about using Google Hangouts. I mean, you have to have a Google Google account in order to do that. But I like to use Skype, but not every business person has Skype. Join.me is simple because all you have to do is tell them to go to join.me and give them a code. GoToMeeting, yes, you can do GoToMeeting if you want to pay for that. I mean, I've seen some other people asking, what additional software or services do you need to do this? Let's think about that. I mean, the choosing your niches. I mean, look to your own experience, look to your own market. If you're in a tiny market in the middle of Utah, then pick a different market somewhere else that you're going to go after. But you're going after, remember, high-value transaction businesses. Businesses where transaction and customers are worth thousands, hopefully tens of thousands of dollars. So if you're charging them $3,000, let's say $5,000, 1 or 2 customers pays for them. Now, you're not going to try to only go for 1 or 2 customers, but that's the relationship, the ROI. That's how you have to position this to your client. That's how they have to measure it. Are they making money on the money they're investing with you? The other thing, so there's no money that you have to spend to figure out what niches to go after. It's just time. As far as the marketing plan, you can use Google, decide on your market, your niche, go look in Google, get the name, address, and phone number, and dial the phone. You don't have to spend any money. If you want to go through the system that I laid out, where you've got you're going to send them emails. I'm giving you the copies of emails, so if you have an email platform, you can send it from there. Maybe you're using Gmail. Maybe you've got your own domain and email. You're sending it from there. Or you want to use Constant Contact or something else. There's other, you can spend a little bit of money or no money on email. The direct mail, you got to print it up and buy stamps. So there's not a lot of money there, and it's all variable costs. As far as the servicing, there's nothing to sign up for. There's nothing to pay for in order to sign up with the outsourced resources. If you want to get more sophisticated in your lead generation, then you can buy something like Places Scout, or David Sprague has something. There are other things. You can go to here in the U.S. You can go to the library and get access to Info USA, and that's free. I talk about all that inside of the course. I've tried to think about everything. Some things are free to do, and other things cost money. But look, if you're going to build a six-figure business, you're going to spend money. Now, I know some of you don't have a lot of money necessarily at this point, so deal with what you have. Take action with what you have. Adapt to your situation. If you don't have any money to spend on lead generation software, then don't do it that way. Pay somebody on Fiverr to come up with it, your leads, or Odesk. Or sit down and just do what I just talked about. Go through and look at Google and come up with them. You can spend as little or as much as you want, as you think that you need to in order to accomplish what you need to do. Are we planning on making this webinar available on video later? I don't know. I didn't record it, so I can't help you with that.
Yes, this will be recorded.
Okay.
Or I should say this is recorded.
Yeah, I never, even when I say I'm recording, I have forgotten to press the record button before, so.
I thought I was the only one.
Well, let me just tell you another quick story. I was doing maybe you'll get a chuckle from this. I was preparing to do a webinar, and 10 seconds before I was going to change to my screen, I spilled my giant glass of water on my keyboard. And
wow.
5 minutes into the presentation, the water had seeped far enough into the keyboard that the keyboard took control of the screen and started going crazy. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I finally had to disconnect the keyboard, and so I had to complete the rest of it only using the mouse. I didn't have the keyboard anymore. So, you know what? Everybody knew something was going on because the screen was going wacky. But I just kept going. After a couple minutes, I figured I was trying to fix it, but I realized eventually that the hardware was on the fritz from the water. So you adapt to your situation, you move on, you take action. Karen's asking, certified marketing consultant. Yep. When you look once you become a member, Karen, you'll see what is entailed with that. I have a plan to go for a partnership with my friend Will. This system ideal for my situation. Yeah, if you have a partnership with somebody and you purchase the system, I will also let your partner or your salesperson onto the system. You just have to contact me and explain the situation. because I want you to be successful. Now, of course, you can just give them your login and use that, but I have set people up who contact me about that. Where am I located? I'm located on beautiful Lake Lanier, which is in North Georgia, north of Atlanta. I'm just northeast of Gregg. So is there any other questions I haven't answered? I think I've covered the, can you do this while you have a full-time job? Yes, you can. You allocate your time. I've got a principal, a school principal, high school principal out in California. She has 1 hour a day to work on this business. And because she has a system, she knows exactly what to do during that hour. She's working on it for 1 hour. She's trying to prepare for the eventuality when she retires. I've got people that have doing this full-time. I've got people that have been in this business for 20 years and people that have just started following the system. It runs the gamut. So if you want to build a successful six-figure offline marketing business, I think this is your answer. I don't think there's anything else out there like it. I haven't seen it. If I had, I would have bought it so I could learn from it. But there's a 30-day refund policy, so if you get in there and you decide it's not for you, you don't want to do this work, or you're going to do something else, maybe something else shows up on your radar screen and you want to pursue that, then great. I've had people that have been successful that bought this last year, and 9 months later they came back and got started and became successful. So whether you jump into it with both feet now, or because of your situation, maybe you got health issues or financial issues or job issues or whatever type of issues, this stuff is evergreen. It works now, it'll work 6 months from now.
And I think that's a great point. The fact that this is the psychology behind what works, and psychology doesn't change unless human nature changes. What you learn, you'll be able to use 100 years from now. So the other piece that I like, Jeff, is it's a high-ticket item. Because here's the reality. You can go out and get yourself a couple hundred customers, or for some of the folks, if you can only go in part-time, well, guess what? In the next year, if you get yourself just 2 customers at $4,000 a month, $3,000 a month, well, you're making more than the average American makes in a year, right? So you don't have to go out and get yourself hundreds and thousands of customers like you would have in the affiliate marketing arena, where you're making $20 transactions, but you need 10,000 of those transactions. I've done that, by the way, and it's good, but it takes a whole lot of sales to get the numbers that you want. When I'm consulting with the business, especially for our deal site profit folks, a lot of times people say, well, Craig, I can't believe you charge that much. Well, I can. They're willing to pay for it. If the customer, they need you, the smart businesses, like Jeff says, they don't want to do this by themselves. They don't even have the know-how. And when you follow the positioning that you've laid out, it's a no-brainer. Them charts that you have there, let me tell you, one of the reasons I was asking you that, why everyone was asking what are the 3 tools, because I needed them myself. I'm sorry, Jeff, but I'm going to have to take those from you.
No, you're welcome to them. That's why, look, if nothing else, I mean, that's why I tell everybody, and that's why I offered a copy of the report for people, just really to pique their interest about what is this report. I want to hear about it. But I've told you what it is. You can go out and start doing those reports tomorrow. Because even if I'm not directly responsible for helping 1,000, helping everybody become a 6-figure business owner through this system, then if you've learned something tonight that helps you, then great.
Yeah, those tools, the reports, what it does for a business is when you're sitting in front of that business or you're doing it over Join.me, however you're doing it, when you could show them where they are and where they aren't, there's something that happens psychologically. And most people try to say, hey, I'm going to go out and help you get X amount of keywords or X amount more traffic. But what you're showing them is, here's the traffic that you are losing. That means it exists, your competitors are getting it, but you're losing it because you're not getting it. That's a totally different psychological positioning. And I'm going to tell you, that's called reverse positioning or reverse selling. That works very, very well. It's also the fear of loss. Here's the traffic that you're losing. Here's the keywords that you're missing that your competitors are ranked for and you're not. So unless you work with me, you will never get that. That's a great, great positioning. And those tools you have there help you do that. I love it.
Well, Karen says she's excited. She just signed up and is ready to get started. I'm ready to help you. If you want to join me, if it's not for you, I'm not interested in taking your money. So don't worry about that. But if you think this is for you, then join me, and we'll see you on the other side.
Cool. Hey, well, thank you for being on today, guys. Hopefully you got some tremendous value. As you can see, Jeff gave a ton of content, gave you tools and resources, the strategy. I wish I could show you the picture of my note sheet here. I have 2 pages of notes that I wrote down, all the niche markets that you go after. I love these. So hopefully you guys took some notes. You're going to take some action and, take Jeff up on his offer. It's a fantastic offer, and I think it's awesome. So Jeff, is there anything else that you want to say in closing?
Well, there's a couple of questions here I'll go ahead and answer.
Okay.
Now, John Herb is asked a question. Everybody, well, I'm going to turn off. I get chastised sometimes by my members because I type and they can hear it on the video. So I'm going to put in my email. So if you have a question, John's asking a question about the way to contact me or competent customer support. You're talking to customer support. So I'm going to put in my email. So if you have questions, you can email me and ask them, and I will try to get a response to you as quickly as possible. And then secondly, people are asking about how long is the offer open. Today's Wednesday. We'll leave the offer open for 36 hours. Okay, you've got 36 hours to make a decision about whether or not you're going to change your life, change the vector that your business is on, and incorporate this strategy and this system into your plans. If it's not for you, that's fine, and I hope you've learned something tonight that you can take away and impact your business and help you succeed. So I will, let me just turn this off so that I know you don't hear me typing because I'm a two-finger typer. Hold on.
Hey, being a two-finger typer is totally okay. One of my clients, the amount of sales this guy does, and I went to his office one day, I could not believe he just typed with 2 fingers, and he really did type with 2 fingers. But did fantastic in business, absolutely fantastic.
I can type with all of them, but I make more mistakes that way. I don't really make any mistakes with 2 fingers, so it's usually faster.
That's because you actually have to look.
Yes. It's MedMarket Mastery, MEDMKT Mastery @gmail.com. So send me an email there if you have a question. This will be open for 36 hours. There is a replay, and I'll do. I've done my best at supplying you with the strategy and tactics and all the elements contained inside of here to help you be a success. And I'll be there in the Facebook group along with all the other local CEOs to help you overcome your challenges. And I hope that you join me inside. And Greg, I thank you. And I thank everybody on here that's still here tonight. There's still a number of you here already still, and I appreciate your time that you spent with me tonight.
Awesome. All right, guys, thank you, and have a fantastic evening. And Jeff, thanks again for doing this for our folks. I just thought it was a good fit and want to introduce you to our guys. So thanks for being on tonight. Guys, have a great evening. Good night, everyone.